welcome to number 27 of the Tanis Make Stuff podcast. This is my little bit of the YouTube world where I talk about the things that I've been making recently. And this time I think it is pretty much exclusively knitting. In fact, I'm sure it is. Now that I've said that, that will be a lie. But nice to have you here. I have finished quite a few things. For me, this is quite a few things. I think there might be 4 things. So let's crack on, shall we? I have, first of all, made... Oh, I was going to put this on. Oh, I was going to put it on before we started, silly moo. I finished my knit night shawl. Now, this is a very long, quite narrow shawl. But I mean, it doesn't have to be narrow. It gets as long as you want it to be. I've steam blocked this because this is a wool mix. It's King Cole Galaxy, which I thought had been discontinued, but I've seen it on the Wool Warehouse website. Not this exact colour. They do have a grey, but mine's got, can you see all these? Oh, it's so lovely. Oh, now my cat wants to go out. Hold on. Right, I've let her out. So forgive me if there's any background noise now, because the back door's open. And I'm hoping at some point she'll jump up and join us. Anyway, what was I saying? This is the Knit Night shawl by Louise Zass Bangham. You know, the woman who did the enormously popular hitchhiker scarf. Her. It's a really, really simple repeat. I chose to go with the cast off that had eyelets and picots. Yeah, the yarn is so soft. It's King Cole Galaxy. Mine's grey, but mine's got the multicoloured, as you can see. Oh, it's so lovely. The multicoloured sequins in. And this is so simple. You literally, you cast on some stitches at the beginning of every row. And then you cast off some, and then you just knit. And then you do the same coming back. And it just makes this lovely, super long. Oh, it's so nice, and it feels so nice to wear. And as I was saying, I thought this yarn was kind of discontinued or out of stock. Oh, I don't want it when that many times. Hold on. Oh, I've got myself in a right old tiz now. Yeah, I thought this yarn was discontinued, but it isn't. It's on the Wool Warehouse website. It's about £3.99, say, for 50 grams. I used 2 50-gram balls for this. They don't have it the grey with the multicoloured sparkles. They do have the grey with just silver sequins, and there are lots of other colours. There's like pinks and whites and like a black and white mix, I think, which look quite nice. Anyway, lots to choose from there if you want it. It's, like I say, it's a wool mix. It's a small amount of wool, I think. So yeah, if you don't, you know, if you're really anti-acrylic, this is not for you. But it is a pretty affordable make, and it's brilliant for taking. It's called Knit Night because it's a scarf that you can take with you when you go to your knitting group and work on without having to think about. And it is exactly perfect for that, and therefore also perfect for, you know, when you're at home watching TV or a film or something. Zero concentration required, really, and I love it. So nice. And I've had this yarn. Oh, I've got it caught my earring now. Oh, I've got stupid earrings on. So that's great. I've just pulled that. Little pull that's gone back in again. I'm just going to quickly take these earrings off before I do any more damage. So yeah, I've had this yarn. I bought it in a sale somewhere. I think it might have been that knitting shop in Basingstoke that I can never remember the name of. I think it might have been in there, and it was reduced to like £2 a ball. So cheap. But I didn't know what to do with it, really. So I don't do a lot with DK. I'm more of a 4-ply person. But I love this. I'm so happy with it. And I definitely recommend it. And when I bought it, I bought the pattern in a bundle that it's like a very small ebook. It comes with 2 patterns. There's this one, the Knit Night, and there's the Knit a While shawl, which is very similar, but it's striped, and I'm definitely going to make that. In fact, I might even cast that on later. Now, you'll see me fiddling here with, oh, look at this. This is a new, I've got an Etsy shop called Gym Poodle. So obviously this is a new version. My normal Gym Poodles look different, but I've done this version now with a kind of open work. He's not on a bottle of gin, he's on a bottle of cider. So this is only a small one, like a little test run, but I think I might make more of those. I think that's pretty cool. Now, I know that's going to be a Marmite thing. You're either going to love it or hate it. I love a bit of retro kitsch. And that fits the bill of that brief perfectly. I'll tell you what else you'll see in my love of retro kitsch. This house was built in the 1980s. And when we bought it, it had most of its original features, including it had blancmange peach coloured walls, which did have to go, but we've kept the Artex texture on the walls. I wanted to paint it green because I think they look like it looks foresty, but I lost that argument. I can't win everything. So we've gone this quite neutral colour. I would still like to do something with this rail, like do like a bronze or gold stripe on it, but we'll see. I may get away with that one day. You never know. And we've got Artex fan shapes on the ceiling, which look like you know, the Sashiko pattern with the waves, sort of fan shaped wave pattern. Anyway, I love it, and I know that's also a Marmite thing that a lot of people would hate, but we're keeping it. I finished another pair of strict. Oh my god, I've had the most disastrous thing I found out today. Instagram are going to completely do away with their hashtag following. You can't follow something by hashtag. So what are we going to do with all our knit-alongs and make-alongs when you follow the hashtag? Because you can't. You won't be able to do it anymore, which has made me, I don't know if maybe you'll still be able to search by hashtag. I'm hoping so. Because these will be evicted, won't they? These are my second pair. I really thought I'd shown you these before, by the way. My second pair of Strictly socks, Strictly sock-along socks. If you follow Ali on Little Drops of Wonderful, she also has This Wonderful Life. But I really only follow the Little Drops of Wonderful because I'm more about the knitting. But she does a Strictly sock-along every year, and of course it is Strictly season. So here are my second pair. The yarn, which is the best yarn in the world, you can't get, I'm afraid. That's one of Gerard's from I Knit London, which is sadly gone. The shop went a long time ago. I like the way it's pulled there, but it hasn't done its. Oh, it's done it slightly differently on the other sock. But I mean, that's going to be under my foot when I'm wearing them anyway, so no one's going to see. But I love those. I'm super happy with those, and the neon pop for my rolled cuff is she Rachel Copley? Rachel Copley, I think she's from Coop Knits. That's one of her like 50-gram neons. I bought a few of those. They're really lovely, and when I next see her at a yarn show, I shall buy some more because they're so nice, and they're really good for Stephen West projects, and they're pretty reasonable as well, as far as I recall. Pretty reasonably priced. Now, I'll go have a little sip of my coffee. Pretty sure I bought that colour from her Unravel Festival a while ago, years ago. And I don't think she's ever been back since, which is a shame because I really like her. But maybe there'll be someone else there stocking her stuff. Which is hard to say when you've got a lisp. Now, will wonders never cease. I have actually finished the Mister's jumper, which has been on my needles since Kingdom Come. A couple of years, probably, maybe. Anyway, I got quite bored with it and then just sort of like hit the wall. But at last, it's done. Now, this is woolly knit British wool, and it smells, it's very rustic. You can definitely feel the texture of it. And it smells very, very sheepy, which he loves. Every time I've worked on this and got it out of the bag, he's always commented on how lovely it smells. And I said to him, you know, that smell will go when I block it, unfortunately, because it'll get soaked in detergent and warm water, and it's pretty likely that smell will go. And he was so disappointed. So this looks a little bit weird because it hasn't been blocked, because he was adamant that he didn't want it to be blocked and risk losing the smell. So it's just going to have to block itself on the warmth of his body when he wears it. And he's got sensitive skin, so I don't even think he's going to be able to wear this, because I think this will make this will be too rustic feeling for his skin. Because we even have to use like non-bio washing liquid to wash his clothes. So I don't know what he's thinking, but we shall see. And otherwise it can go in the pile of things that I've made for him that he doesn't wear. I love that. It's a double moss stitch pattern, which was pretty boring to do, because it's basically it's a lot like doing, it's just you're really doing constant rib on a man-sized jumper forever. It's knit in pieces and then stitched together, which I don't mind at all, because I've done a lot of vintage knitting and I enjoy pieced garments. I think they fit better, and you can control the sizing more when you actually sew it up. If there's anything you're not massively keen on, you can make some adjustments as you're sewing, which you can't if it's knit in the round top down. And also, I know I've said this before, but I hate that pulled bit you get in jumpers that are knitting around top down. I hate that bit of very tight, stretched, awkward looking connection when you split for the armholes and then rejoined again. I just think it looks horrendous. Having said that, I will be knitting around very soon. It's all in my plans. So yeah, that's it for finished objects. I've rattled through those in 11 minutes, and I think I deserve maybe a second Danish pastry. Not that I don't own anymore. Oh God, I had the most delicious Danish pastry earlier. It was tiramisu flavour. It was from Asda, and it's in their special range. And they had some the other day that I really regretted not buying, that were like some sort of Sicilian lemon and custardy type Danish thing. They looked so delicious, and I didn't buy them. And then when I went back to buy them, they didn't have them anymore, but they did have tiramisu Danish, which, let me tell you, is a triumph. I think they change their flavours quite regularly, because I don't remember seeing those before, and the lemon ones are definitely gone. So if you want them, quick smart. I'm just going to pop you on pause for a minute while I have something else to drink. Hold on. Sorry about that. Thanks for waiting. I think I've said before, I work from home and I don't really speak to anyone. I don't have to have like Zoom meetings or anything like that. Communicate by email. And it's all lovely and I love it, but it means my voice doesn't get used very much. So when I record one of these, I go all croaky, and like I get voice, I think my voice goes into shock at being like woken up. Right then, I've got some whips to show you, but not an awful lot. This is my current favourite whip because it's so simple. I really love simple garter stitch knits, and that's exactly what this is. This is just going to be a really, really basic triangle scarf, shawlette. I've seen a lot of them in like sort of fashion magazines and online recently. It's quite a trend. So if you hear that little bell, Lulu, where you going, baby? You going up? She's going up to bed. She's had her lunch and she's going for a snooze. Yeah, so there's no pattern for this. I've just made it up. Just a really simple triangle shape, and I'm just going to keep knitting until it's probably until it's long enough to like double around my neck, but I don't want it to be like super long. So it's only 4 ply, and it's made using Nelly and Eve yarn. Dale's 50/50, so it's 50% BFL and 50% Masham. Is that how you say it? Masham? Mesum? I don't know. Anyway, her yarns are plant dyed, as you'll see there. And this one is in the colourway Moss. And it's a 100-gram ball, and I have no idea how much I paid for it. I bought this at Unravel last year, I think, for the last year's, not this year's just gone, the year before's MCAL, which after having to unpick and redo it several times because of the kerfuffle at the start, I completely lost interest in, so put the yarn away to use for something totally unrelated. And here is the thing I'm using it for, and I love that. I'm doing a really simple yarn over increase at the beginning of each row with an I-cord edge. Just because the squish of an I-cord edge. This yarn also smells lovely, and it's such a beautiful colour. I don't know what she's dyed this with. I wish it's a shame it doesn't actually say what she used to dye it. Anyway, it's she's based in Wales. Yeah, hand dyed in West Wales, and I think she I think the actual fibre is local as well. So yeah, that's a really great bit of TV knitting, because it's just garter stitch and I-cord and the yarn over. You can't get much simpler than that, can you? Oh, but it's so nice to have just something that you can just kind of just feel the rhythm of it in your hands without like having to remember to do a pattern repeat or anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love all that, and I like having things that you can really get into and have to think about, and you know, you can see a beautiful pattern forming. I will show you a pair of socks coming up that I'm working on that are exactly that, but you're not always in the mood for that, are you? Sometimes you just want like a sort of sorbet knit, something that will just tick along in your hands by itself, really. Oh, my poor old voice. As Eckler talking. Oh, now these. Oh, I've got these in the wrong bag. Let me do a little switcheroo for you. This is my next pair of Strictly Sock Along socks, and I'm so delighted with them. I'm using all of my leftover Christmas yarn and making a pair of scrappy Christmassy socks. Oh my God, aren't they amazing? These are all West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colours, other than this sparkly green here, which is a Giddy Yarns Sparkle, and I've got hardly any of it left. I've done 2 stripes of it on this sock, and I think I'll barely have enough to do 1 stripe on the other sock. Oh, and I'm using this, the heel is a red mini from something. I don't know what it was. I've got a feeling it was part of a set, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was part of. But yeah, I think that works really well, doesn't it, with Christmassy colours? Yeah, some people might think these are ugly socks. But I think they're smashing. I'm on the foot already, as you can see. And obviously I need these done before Christmas, so that I can wear them and be all Christmassy with them. And I'm knitting them on DPNs, as you'll have no doubt just seen. And I'm using a Pickle Lily DPN holder, which are amazing. I've had this one for years and it still looks pretty new to me. And because it's like a metallic fabric, it's not one pull or run in it, which I think is pretty outstanding, because it just gets flung in various bags. And then this year at the Southern Wool Show, I bought one of her little yarn fabric, what would you call this? Not a yarn holder, a yarn bowl? Yeah, you know, like I've got a wooden one, and this is a fabric one, and you can snap it together at the top, and you can snap this bit together and have your yarn feeding out the side. It's just cracking, and it's sparkling gold, which is perfect for Strictly season. Yeah, really happy with those. I'm really enjoying those as well. And I'm doing my stripes. I'm doing 10 rows of each colourway, which for that green was probably too much. Maybe I should have gone to 5 rows. But because some of them are self-striping yarns, you don't get the full effect sometimes with only 5 rows, do you? So, yeah, maybe, I think 10's probably, it looks a bit thick to me, 10 rows. But I don't know how many fewer I would do and still get the same punch of the stripes. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, it's not really exactly something to worry about, but it's a consideration. These are rather my Samphire socks, which is a sock pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. These were part of one of her secret sock societies a few years ago. Gosh, must be more than 4 years ago. Maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, because we weren't living here then. Anyway, I doubt whether you care about that. This yarn again is an I Knit London Beauty. You can see why I chose that for Samphire, can't you? So yeah, no longer able to get that. The bag they're living in is from, you know, Flying Tiger. This is one of their laundry bags. They do these little packs of laundry. Well, they used to do these little packs of drawstring laundry bags, and they're perfect for your knitting. But I'm not sure they still do them. There isn't one near me now, and the last time I was in one was when I was in London, and I didn't see them there then, anything like them. The first sock, let me just get a sock blocker for you to get, is off the needles at long last. Because you have to kind of concentrate a little bit on these, and I'm not always in the mood for concentrating. I think the pattern asked for a heel, flap and gusset, and I didn't. I cast these on when I was in love with short row heels, which I'm now back in love with heel, flap and gusset. So I don't think I would have done them quite this way if I was casting them on now. I don't know if you can see the pattern. I think my yarn's so busy, it's quite hard to see. Quite hard to see the pattern, but it's got this lovely sort of swirly, almost like fronds of greenery growing through water sort of pattern to it. It's really lovely. They're really lovely. So I finished the first sock. They're not blocked, which is why I've got a bit of a funny toe shape going on there. And I've cast on the second one, but I'm only on the cuff, so not really much to show you there. But I love the way that the colours move through with this. So there's just enough colour change in it for it to be like you don't really know what you know what's coming up in a way. Lovely, really lovely. The first sock I knit using these devilish things. Crikey, I can't tell you how much I hated these. I can't tell you whether I prefer the long bit in my dominant hand or my non-working hand. Either way, it seems to be horrendous to me. I just didn't go on with these at all. So I'm going to put these in the yarns on Facebook. There's a group called Yarn Snobs, and they have it's a D-stash thing, where you can only really sell hand-dyed, indie-dyed, hand-dyed yarns. But they also let you sell things like this, like little knitting needles and stuff, but not commercial yarns. But yeah, I'm going to be offloading those, and I've switched, and I know you shouldn't really switch, but I've switched back to DPNs with the other socks. Now I know they're going to come out different because these are 2.25, so these are 2.5s. They're going to come out quite different gauge, but I don't think it's going to bother me enough to worry about. So far, just looking at them, the rib doesn't look really any different to me. So I think I might get away with it. But even if there is a difference, again, it's a pair of socks. You know, we don't stress. We're here for the japes. It's just enjoyment. We're knitting for fun, not for, you know, I'm not knitting commercially. So it's just for me. And if, for me, it'll be something, if they are different, then it will amuse me that I've got either the DPN foot on first or the, or the devil's work, bloody pins. Oh God, I can't tell how much I hate them. And they make my hands really feel awkward. I've got another pair of those, a different brand. It might be Chogu, which I can just about tolerate, just about get on with, but those ones definitely not. But then I went through that with them before. I used them on something else, hated them, put them away, and then pretended they didn't exist. And then I was in a desperate rush to cast on all the things, and the only sock needles available to me were those. So I cast something on with them and got on fine. Got on absolutely fine with them. But now I'm back on hating them again. So I don't know. I don't know if that says anything about me. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, now this I think I've shown. Oh, I've nearly finished this. But I've got to make a cord for it. I've nearly finished the actual knitting of it. This is a vintage hat pattern, knit flat, as most vintage patterns are. Probably would be quite easy to, well, I don't know though. It might be, I think it probably would be easy to convert to a knitting around. Especially as there's not really any shaping, you just kind of go up. It's got this nice sort of slip stitch pattern. I don't know if that colourway is showing brilliantly well. This is, which yarn is this? Yes, this is that Stylecraft Recreate, which I love. And this one is teal, obviously. And it's got these sort of like tweedy little neps in it. Don't know if you can see that. Which is, it feels lovely. It has got a slightly, odd feel to it because it's recycled, I think it's just recycled acrylic. No, it's 40% wool, 30% acrylic. Apologies. 40% wool, 30% acrylic and 30% polyester, which, and it's DK. It does give it a slightly odd feel when you're knitting. Not unpleasant, just different. It feels lovely when it's knit up, and it's really lovely to work with. It's really consistent, and it's actually beautiful yarn. So I definitely would buy it again if I ever need to. So much yarn. But yeah, I mean, if they're still making it, I would, because I've got it in this lighter blue colour as well, which I made another hat with. So this is, what I just showed you, is this hat. So you know I do love a vintage pattern. And it's literally called the tassel top hat. Can you see that? Oh, I see, look. I've got to make the cord and the tassels, which frankly I'm not looking forward to. I do know how to make a cord, but it's a pain in the bum, isn't it? But I've forgotten how you work out how long the yarn has to be to get it to the length that you want, because I need it. Does it even tell you vintage patterns are, yeah, it just says make a length of twisted cord. Thanks. How long is a length? Don't answer that. Although if you watch Strictly, I think we all saw what that means to Pete Wicks last night. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, it's going to be a pain in the bum now, because I've got to work that out. And you know what's going to happen is I'm going to do it and it will be wrong. It will be not too long and cut downable. It will be too short. And then that will mean starting all over again. And then the bit that I've already twisted will look horrendous and won't be reusable, will it? It's guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. Right. Oh, is that it for my... Oh, no, I've got a pair of socks here. A pair of socks for the... Oh, no, these are my Let It Shine socks. I've shown you these before. They were from another Pickle Lily DPN holder. Marvellous. These are... This is Pixie yarns, I think. Pretty sure. These were the socks from the Handmade Studios Sock Saturday thing back in May, I think. Back in May. Was it Eye of Partridge when it's that kind of textured heel? Anyway, heel flap and gusset and all that. Very nice. Feels ever so soft and light. Quite light. Not really any real reason why I'm not getting on with those. I think mainly because I've been concentrating so much on getting the Mister's jumper done. So now that's done, I can have another, I'll choose another project that will be my main must finish this thing. So I have, you know, like you carve up your time for what you're going to do when. So that was I'd do it like up to about, I'd always made sure I did at least one row on that every day. And then other things like socks and stuff, I'll pick up and put down as I feel like doing them. But that was my thing of the thing that I needed to, I don't need to, but I wanted to finish. So it got at least a few rows done every day. I don't know what my next priority is going to be. Might be those. See, I would say it would be those Samphire socks, but you do need to concentrate on those a bit. And I don't always have the headspace for them. I mean, even the Let It Shine socks, they're so simple. It's got a little lace panel, which is super cute. But you do have to concentrate a tiny, tiny bit. And I have stuffed that pattern up a couple of times. And but luckily I've done it on the bit that will be inside your shoe. So I'm picking socks. Not when they're for me. If they were for someone else, there's a very small chance I would. But it's more likely that I wouldn't. And that I would just carry on with them. And end up, and if they were really bad, I'd just keep them for myself, make them a different pair. Right, another pair of socks. It's very sock heavy. I'm so sorry. I finished another pair of socks where I finished one of them. Goodness gracious. Maybe. Well, I was going to say maybe these could be my main project, but these are for the Mister. So then that would mean all my projects, my main focus projects have been for him. I don't begrudge him. But I feel like it's my turn. There. Oh, look at those though. These are a simple broken rib 2x2 rib sock using Dragon Hill Studios self-striping yarn. Sorry, they don't fit on the blockers brilliantly well because these big old man feet. Yeah, Dragon Hill Studios self-striping sock is just a very fine thing, isn't it? Oh, so nice. Even when I take these out to work on them, he always says, oh, they're really nice, aren't they? He knows they're for him. He kind of forgets, or he's just referencing that they're lovely. Look, I've got tons of... They're so generous with their balls of yarn as well, because I'm on the leg of that one. And I know from experience that I will end up still with quite a lot of yarn left at the end of that. Oh, and I'm knitting these using the Addy Flexi Flips, as I think they're called in America. Here, they're crazy trios. I don't really like the word crazy being used for needles. I don't know, it just makes me feel a bit like, what's so crazy? It's just knitting. Anyway, I like flexi flips as well. Flexi flips is a funny phrase. So yeah, so that's another choice of what could be my focus knitting. Because because I work from home, I work for a company in the mornings, and then by about lunchtime I'm done with them and I go on to working for myself. So when I have lunch, I know I'm repeating myself, I quite often only take like 15 minutes. So in the afternoons, I'm a bit addicted to Tipping Point. I love it. So while I'm watching Tipping Point, I work on my temperature blanket. Which reminds me, I'm going to stop and quickly pop in a little video of me knitting on my temperature blanket so you can see the progress. Hold on. Nice, isn't it? I think it's lovely. I'm looking forward to it. We've not got long to the end of the year now, have we? And then I'll be able to sew the 2 strips together, and I'm really looking forward to that. What was I blithering on about? Yeah, I do that, and then whatever time I've got left in while I'm watching that show is when I was work on the Mister's jumper. Now that's done now, so I need something else that'll be my focus. So I can't really use the Samphire socks for those because I have to concentrate on the pattern, on the lace pattern, because it kind of does go in and out like that. It's really easy. It's just you do need a little bit of concentration, a bit more concentration than what I have when I'm watching TV. Anyway, that I think is it for the knitting. So I've got a little bit of stash acquisition to show you, and if you're not here for that and the books I've been reading recently, it's only 3, then I shall love you and leave you. But if you're going to stick around, thank you very much. I think you should. Yeah, that'd be lovely. So what shall we start with? Let's start with the books. I finished reading The Baroness by Hannah Rothschild. I think I spoke about this before. It was great right up until the end. There is only so much history of jazz musicians in New York that I am interested in. But I found the lives of the Rothschild family in that period super interesting. And the author narrates the book herself, and she has the most fantastic voice for narrating books. So I'm looking to read some more of hers. I have so many books, a limited amount of time. But yeah, I'm totally not against reading more of her work because she was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. Definitely recommend that. The book that I'm currently reading. I'm currently reading 2 books. I've got an audio book going and a proper reader. My proper reader, The Widow by Fiona Barton. This is such a good book. I've been reading this forever because I want it to last. I'm within the last 100 pages. I'm on page 331 and it's got like 390 pages. So I could easily finish this today if I put my mind to it. I might not put my mind to it because I like having it. I want to get to the end, but I don't. It's so good. It's about this woman whose husband is has been accused of abducting a little girl and possibly killing her. You don't really know. And it's all kind of very, you don't know one way or the other. There is a point in the book where it becomes clear whether he was involved or not. So I'm not going to spoil that for you. But it's about, he dies suddenly when they're out shopping. He gets like run over by a bus or something ridiculous. And then he's been very controlling of her all their marriage, and she's now free. But the press come back. They've been hounded by the press a lot. And she stayed with him because really it's coercive control really. So you might not want to read it if that would be triggering for you. It's not hugely overt in the book, but it is clear that he rules the roost, you might say. But now he's dead, so she decides, kind of on a whim, when the press start harassing her again, turning up at her door. I want to say harassing her. because of what's happened. I mean, that's just what the press do, isn't it? But I can imagine being on the receiving end. That would be absolutely horrendous. Anyway, she decides to sell her story because it is her story. Nothing has to be filtered through her husband, who's very much in charge of who they speak to, what you say, and everything. And now he's gone. So, but she's damaged. You know, she's a woman who's had a lot of disappointment in her life. She wanted a family, and they didn't have children, and she's been very isolated. And I mean, is she really able to make the decision for herself, or is she kind of press ganged into it? It's such a good book. So if you get a chance to, definitely read that. It's been out for a while, I think. Fiona Barton's The Widow. Such a good book. The book I'm listening to is The Manningtree Witches by A.K. Blakemore. I shall put a picture up. She's a poet, apparently. So sometimes the language gets a little bit overly wordy, a little bit too descriptive in a not particularly helpful way. We'll put it that way. That's more about style rather than driving the story, which can be a bit grating. But it is a really good story. It's about some women that have been accused of witchcraft in Manningtree, which is North Essex, which is this will be relevant. Manningtree is North Essex, which is entirely different to Towie Land. Let me just say this because this is kind of there, not far from where I grew up, and is much closer to a sort of Suffolk. Manningtree is really classed as being on part of the Suffolk coast, even though it is part of Essex. Now, as I say, I'm listening to the audiobook, and I'm having to listen to it at 1.5 because the narrator is awful, horrendous, really bad, really bad. But it's a good story. Anyway, the narrator has chosen to read every single character as a real kind of Danny Dyer style Cockney. Real pantomime Cockney. And it's all like, I said to my mother, I said to her, and you just think, come on. Really? They don't talk like that in Manningtree now, let alone hundreds of years ago. And even when I was growing up in Essex, I grew up in Braintree in Essex, which the local accent, even in the 80s, was Braintree. Not very Cockney. Much more of I would think of it more as an Uari kind of country folk kind of accent, because the rest of my family are all from London. Really annoying me, really annoying me. I wish the narrator had actually looked into what the accent should be, rather than just making everyone a Cockney out of laziness. She's obviously heard Essex and thought, oh, it's Gemma Collins then. Rightio, off we go. Other than that, I think it would be a really good book, but it's grating. It's grating a lot. I shouldn't listen to audiobooks because the narrator really makes or breaks it for me, and quite often I'm jarred by the narrator. But it's part of the digital readers book group, and I don't like reading books on a screen. I find that I don't take any of it in, because to me it starts looking like work, and I start skipping it, looking for the salient points. Just let's face it, that's how we read work emails, isn't it? Now, stash acquisitions. We have a new shop that's opened in town, where the town I live in is going through a regeneration process, which is amazing, because we've had loads of empty shop units and people have been very moany about it. But they've invested a lot of money locally in giving people grants to start up small businesses. It's small independent retail businesses, and it's working really well. There's a company who have a massive unit out in the wild somewhere down here called the Junk Emporium, and it's a fantastic sort of salvage reclamation kind of place, but it's not so much like outdoorsy stuff. It's more just like house clearance stuff, or where businesses have failed and they're selling their stock. I got some of the most beautiful Italian wrapping paper there ages ago. But as I say, it's quite a way out of town. We've only ever been twice, but they have now opened up what used to be the Peacocks. If you have a Peacocks near you, you'll know that the sort of size of unit that will be. So it's quite a big space. They've opened up a junk emporium retail unit in my town, and it's so random in there. There's furniture, there's toys, there's ornaments. They had a musical Nashville. What's the build? Is it the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville? In green and orange ceramic thing that went around. I mean, it was so hideous that I kind of want it. Garden furniture, garden tools, and anything. But anyway, they also have a lot of craft stuff there, a lot of paperwork stuff, some sewing stuff. They do occasionally have yarn. Now, what I'm going to show you, don't worry, it has been through the freezing process and checking it out, and it's absolutely fine. A cone of, this is a wool mix. I can't remember what the split is. Oh, it's 75-25. 75-25 wool acrylic mix. It's lovely lilac-y purpley colour, very similar to another acrylic, another colour I had that I bought from a probate sale years ago, which was 100% acrylic. This is a wool acrylic mix, so this is being used for making snoods. I posted about it online, and 2 people immediately asked me to make them one specially for them each. So that's all that I have of that yarn. Can't get any more of it, obviously. So yeah, I was really happy with that. And then just yesterday, I bought this. Oh, this is quite crinkly, sorry. I might not show you too crinkly, I'll show you that later. There's another charity shop. It's all sealed up in plastic and it hasn't been in the freezer yet, so I might wait until I've done that for that one. But they had big bags of yarn for £3, and a lot of it was acrylic-y stuff that wasn't really my taste, the wrong colours, that kind of thing. And a lot of it was DK, not really my thing. So I took that along to my knit and natter group during the week, where there's lots of people who make charity blankets and bits and bobs, hats for the homeless, that kind of thing. And so passed all that on, but kept back some of the colours that I like. There's a really nice mushroom colour, there's a really nice aubergine colour in DK yarn, which will be lovely for making hats and things. But sorry, this is in a plastic bag that's been in the freezer. Sorry, excuse crinkly. I bought several balls of this. This was in the junk emporium. At £1 a ball. This is Grampian, Hayfield Grampian 4-ply. It's, again, it's a wool mix. So it's 40% acrylic, 40% brine nylon, and 15% wool. So a not very woolly wool mix. And this stuff, which I think is probably oh no, this is, oh look at that, it's amazing. It's called High Society by Paytons, and that was also £1 a ball. And this is 51% mohair, 34% polyester, 9% wool, 6% nylon, 50-gram balls, and these are obviously 50-gram balls too. So this is another option for making the rocket tee. He charged me £7 for these, and I got, they're supposed to be £1 each, and I got, there's about 5 or 6, I've got about 5 or 6 balls of each. So plenty for making the rocket tee. So maybe that could be my next, cast on main project. But I've also got some green yarn that I'd bought for making a rocket tee. I don't know. I kind of want to start with that one now that I've got it right in front of me. So yeah, Other than that, oh, I've just finished watching, is it series 3 of The Great, which is my favourite thing. It's like a fictionalised Catherine the Great story. I love it. If you haven't watched it, there's something that happens in the middle which I think might spoil it for me, and I might not be able to watch the next series. But oh god, just the costumes and everything are so brilliant, and it's just so funny. Quite violent, very rude, lots of sex, lots of people being shot and things. So not necessarily my usual sort of thing. I'm really into costumes, so yeah, really enjoy it, really loved that. And it's got Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult in, and they are absolutely superb. Everyone in it is fantastic. Not one duff actor in it. Brilliant. On the other hand, we're watching, like everyone's raved about, there's this series on, I don't know if it's on, is it on BBC, called Suspect, and that's come back for a second series, and we didn't watch the first series, but they're only half an hour episodes, so they're quite easy to get through. And everyone raved about it. There's some really good people in it. Anne-Marie Duffy's in it. Ben Stiller, no, not Ben Stiller. Is it Ben Stiller? Anyway, whatever. There's people in it that you will recognise, lots of them. So we were looking forward to that. We'll put it on series record. Just finally got around to watching it the other day. My God, it was awful. So bad. The acting was horrendous. It's so bad. The story's really stupid. The acting's terrible. It has nothing to recommend it. So yeah, deleted that. So that's freed up some space. But apart from that, I think that's it. And since it's now 1:10, I think it's high time I decided what to have for lunch. I'm not hungry after I've been picking myself with Danish pastry this morning. I'm sure I'll manage to squeeze in something. Right, have a lovely week, and I shall see you again just as soon as I finish some blooming thing. Ta-ra!